Councilman Camilleri.
Here.
Councilwoman D'Arminio.
Here.
Councilman Accomando.
Here.
Council President Mazer.
Here. Please rise for the salute to the flag, and I ask that you remain standing for a moment of silence in remembrance of the attack of Pearl Harbor of December 7th, 1941, and also for the devastation in California. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on November 25th, 2015, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
I'd like to ask for a motion to open the meeting to the public.
Motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor? The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium, state your name and address.
Barry Ratajczak, 92 Claremont. Last month, there was a lady that came up here after I spoke and wanted to know if it was a personal vendetta or whatever between me and Mr. Simaluka. Mr. Simaluka told a story or some things after she spoke, and I don't disagree with anything that he said, but I don't think he finished the story and told the real reason why there's a difference between me and him, and I will set the record straight. He was right up to the part, and then he stopped telling the rest of the story. Mr. Simaluka used to be the zoning board attorney 8, 10, 12 years ago, and when I was on the zoning board, Mr. Simaluka was up for reappointment, and prior to that, he called me and asked me if I would support him. And I said, Andrew, you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. We're going to put someone from the Democratic Party in there. And that didn't go over well or whatever, and then he called me again and asked me for my support, and I said, Andrew, you don't understand. You come in with the Republicans, you go out with the Republicans. It's now a Democratic time for a person to be in here. And we made the appointment of Charles Sarlo. And ever since then, that's where the friction. So maybe, like I said, politics is politics, but it should be in this room. We were friends prior to that. Our families are still friendly, but that is the true reason why me and him don't speak or whatever. And I'm to the point, like I said, I don't care whether you talk to me or you don't talk to me. It doesn't, it's no issue off of my back, but that is the rest of the story. And like I said, if he's going to tell the story, tell the whole story, and that is the reason why. There's no personal vendetta or whatever. Whatever vendetta or whatever hard feelings are on his part, not on my part. So to go with that. On Monday, I came here and met with Pete about the plans that we said that we had for Veterans Field and stuff. And there was a set of plans there. The plans that he produced were a little bigger than this. They were the ones with the boxes on it and stuff like that. And I seen a set of plans that, back on that table back there, with food court and everything else in it. We never seen that set of plans with the food court, with the people sitting at the food court and stuff like that. What did this guy think he was building, the City Field or the Garden State Plaza? And then Pete told me, I said, were these the plans for $37,000? And he said, no, there were $85,000. Don't you think that we would have been better off putting that $85,000 or whatever into the barn and making that. A refreshment stand, we're gonna use maximum 10 times a year. The barn, we'd probably use 250 times a year to convert it to a wrestling room or whatever. I mean, but you have to have some sort of plan or some kind of idea that you give this guy that's writing you the plans and what budget you have. I mean, you looked at the plans were beautiful, but they had a Viking stove, an overhead fan. I mean, you're boiling water in there. You're not serving dinner or making dinner. And I don't think that we should really spend that much money on the refreshment stand now. I mean, for the 10 times maximum that you're gonna use it. What do you need? You don't need a commercial refrigerator. Football season, it's cold. You know what I'm saying? The drinks can stay in cool. You have a refrigerator there, yeah. A stove to boil water. You don't need, he had a Viking stove. I mean, do you have the plans with you, Pete, today?
Yes.
Can I see them? I mean, I don't know if you people looked at these.
Yes, we did.
Did you?
Yes.
And you had no comments or no, that this wasn't overkill? I'll take them, let me see. This wasn't overkill and it wasn't a waste of money, of taxpayers' money?
Well, Larry,
I don't care about the taxpayers.
No.
It's the kids' money that's getting shortchanged on us. Look at this.
no, at the onset, Larry, we sat down, I believe Councilman Camilleri, myself, we sat down with rec people.
Right.
And we went over and they gave us their wish list. And they, no, I know, but
But I
they,
mean,
they gave
why
us.
why didn't we get to see
No,
this?
I understand, but nothing was, we weren't guaranteeing that they would get it. We just wanted to know their needs and who better than to ask of them. So that was the product of putting everything together and coming
But
down
we're
with it.
talking about a refreshment stand. We're not talking about building a field with goals and
know.
stuff like that. You're talking about, I mean, I don't think the county has this at their park in Overpeck. They don't have that. That's a county facility. So why would you, I mean, I know the public didn't see this because nobody did. Okay, I mean, we're gonna pass them around and see, and just look at the
It was
things
passed out.
of all the waste.
Yeah. It was
Does the
at,
public seen this?
well, it was at one of our meetings. I know
We
it
never,
was
we never
scrolled
got to
across,
see it. I know, I never got to see it, I'll tell you that. And we'll ask the people that come to most of the meetings. We never seen these set of plans, never.
It might have been
never.
a work session. It might
And
have
look at the date on them. Okay, we started doing the field in when? October? Costa was relieved when? What month? What month was he?
I don't remember.
Okay, you know what the date on the plans are? 4/17. April. And he has the nerve, and you people don't say anything. He comes in with a bill for $85,000. You don't question it, you don't say anything. But look at the date on here. The guy's long gone already. So this was something that, what did he do? Said, I'll hit you one more time before I leave. And he did. We don't need this. And I mean, you people are the ones calling the shots. Not us, not us. I mean, if, it'd be like anything. You give anybody a wish list to want to build everything. But you gotta know what your budget is and what you're spending and where is the money going and what are we doing? We only have a certain amount of money. But like I say, to come in with something like this, I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And to pay it is even more ridiculous. And to accept it is even more ridiculous.
Well, we have not accepted it.
Well, I hope not. And like I said, if it wasn't brought out on this side, this bill would have been long paid. Long paid. This bill would have been long paid. I mean, pass it around and just take a lap. I mean, that's a waste of money right there. A big waste of money. That's a guy that has an open checkbook. That's what I said. We gave him an open checkbook, no limits. You gotta put it on and say, look, make me a set of plans, but this is what I wanna spend. I don't wanna spend $1.2 million, $1 million, $1 or $2 million, $200,000 there. I mean, come on. I mean, just take that money and put it into the barn and we're way ahead of the game. I mean, the wrestling team and the cheerleaders could be playing in there right now. I don't know what we're trying to build or what we're trying to do or who we're trying to impress, but we're not gonna get it. We'll always have a wish list.
Well, in
It'll
defense of
never-
the council, he knew what our budget
But
was.
Flo, from the beginning, we didn't have an idea. We didn't have, You know what I mean? You gotta have a drawing, or you gotta have like you're building a house, you gotta say, look, this is what I want my house to look like. Can I afford it? If not, you cut it down, scale it down, not after you let a guy spend $85,000 on you. I mean, it's, we gotta go with that, but I mean, these are the things that we can't have, and we can't keep making mistakes like this, because they are expensive mistakes. Very, very expensive.
Larry, if I could just comment?
Yes.
On the field per se. We we did set around the $700,000 limit for the refreshment stand, the bathrooms, and that came out way overboard. It came out to $1.2 million. So when we did see that, I mean, we
Did he know
nixed
that
it.
number going in?
I believe, Larry, he originally worked that number up, but it was nowhere close to that when he
Right.
came in with the plans.
And I mean, before he made this, you knew what you spent on the field already.
Right.
That was done. Why would you come in with something like that when you knew you were working with a certain amount
What
of
it
dollars?
was we did set a bond for that whole project, okay?
Prior.
And I remember when the bond was set, I was here, Councilwoman Darminio and Councilman Akamondo were not here. I did question them twice to make sure we had enough money. I mean, Sylvia, I think you were here. I wanted to make sure we had the money to do the bathrooms, because that was my biggest concern over there with the field, and everything was yes, there'll be enough money. Lo and behold, like you said, then when the plans come through, which the plans were way after the fact, they came through over $1 million, and our jaws dropped, that was it. So, that's where we were at.
But I mean, like I say, he should have been stopped a long time ago in his tracks, long time ago. Should have been stopped. We weren't getting results from him to begin with. And then, like I say, that's the icing on the cake there. I mean, I really can't believe that. And I think that's why the public didn't get to see that, because I don't know whether it was embarrassing or what it was, but I mean, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing to put out there. Really, really is. The other thing, like I say, on these resolutions here, when you put approved purchases over 2,500, is there any reason why there can't be a list of the purchases, what they are, or you just group them all together?
All the resolutions, Larry, are posted on the bulletin board, which includes detailed information. This is just a summary that's on the agenda.
I mean, because it could be anything, you know what I mean? So 2,500 is nothing today. I mean, you spent 87,000 there, or got a bill for 87 or 85. It's just not, not good. And then, like I say, you got another 25, 30,000 invested in plans here. We didn't do nothing yet. We didn't do nothing. And the other thing I'll ask is, did we get any of the money for the senior housing? Any updates on that, or any phone calls, or? Where do we have
they're
going?
coming into a meeting in February?
January.
So now we're back to January. We went from October to November, we're in December now, and now we're gonna go to January. Do you really think we're getting it, or should we make a move with that property and put it up for sale? And try to recoup some of our losses?
We'll know soon enough.
I mean, it could go on forever.
No.
But like I say, look at the money that we've lost in the last 3.5, 4 years, it'll be 4 years now, that we lost there. And like I say, I know something went on the other night, Tuesday night, with the tax appeal. They were the tax appeal people here. I mean, we have tax appeals coming in now, right? Ones that we had being held over, and they're not little ones, right?
Yes.
What are they? Big ones. And we got ratables there that are just sitting and just collecting zero. And we got people coming in now asking for refunds, big refunds, big, not little, big. Park 80, well, the rest of them are gonna be in now too, once they see what goes on. So we gotta, it's an old saying, blank or get off the pot, but you gotta do something there. You can't just keep living on the promises of people, because they're not coming through. Just like I said, look how long we waited for the engineer. They're coming, the plans are coming, the plans are coming, and they never came. Same thing with this money. You gotta decide whether, you gotta pinpoint them down and say, look, are we getting it, or what should we do? Can we make a move here? Can we sell the property? Are we locked into the property? I mean, that's another sore eye there that we have. And other than that, like I said, it just, you know, hope that we get the field straightened out and get the room ready for the kids. I mean, you know, the barn or whatever you're gonna do with that, but we have a lot of wasted money that we could have probably remodeled it already, but, thank you.
Anyone else? No one else? Motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Comments, Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to start by addressing Mr. Ratajczak and to say just a very little about the situation with the concession stand and the plans. I feel it was a mistake, and I feel that we need to move on now with that. What you said was, a lot of what you said was correct. The old engineer, you know, there were some issues, and that bill was not paid as far as I know. You know, there is still some outstanding money that, bills that we have from him. So I just want to move forward. We have a good engineer now, okay? The other engineer, Mr. Costa, was here for 4 years, and, you know, he did do some good work, but at the end, I feel that it would, you know, it would have been better if we moved on earlier. So, with that being said, I think we learned a lesson, so. I have a few things to mention. Public Service Energy Efficient Grant, I spoke about. The township has been pre-approved for this grant for energy efficient lighting and equipment. Representatives from Public Service conducted a no-cost audit, or no-cost audits, I should say, for all our township buildings. We're hoping to use this grant for lighting at the DPW garage as part of the roof replacement project, which started this week, the roof replacement at the DPW garage. Some upcoming meetings and events. We have a 300th anniversary meeting Wednesday, December 16th, 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall. Also, our holiday decorating contest, the registration started December 1st. It ends December 21st. We'll be judging on December 22nd. The holiday tree lighting party, we had Friday, November 27th. This year, we brought back the holiday party after several years without doing it. It was held at the high school gymnasium after the tree lighting. It was a great event for the town. It brought out many residents together for a night of fun. And it was, I can't say enough, I've received nothing but praise from the public about that event, and we're going to continue to do it every year. Special thanks to Councilwoman Karen Darminio. She orchestrated it. She did a fantastic job, as well as Councilman Todd Accomundo, Projects and Activities Chairpersons Sharon Accomundo and PJ Punzo. Also my secretary, Christine Genurario, who did also a lot of work. There's many other groups and people to thank. All our council members for attending and assisting at the event. The Mayor's Youth Group, Saddlebrook Women's Club, Boy Scout Troop 213, Mr. and Mrs. Claus, AKA Joe Shilp and Barbara Caldero, the Saddlebrook Board of Education, Saddlebrook School District janitorial staff, they were very helpful in cleaning up and setting up, Saddlebrook High School, middle school bands, the Saddlebrook High School students that came and dressed up in costumes. At the tree lighting, Basil Pizzuto, who's the assistant chaplain for the fire department, and Father Matthew Brown of Holy Apostles Orthodox Church. They did opening and closing prayer. Also photographer Joanne Brindell, and then finally our emergency services, fire department, police department, ambulance corps, and then the DPW. So thank you for all of them for making it a success. redesign of our township website. We're hoping to publish the new website by the end of the year, which is closing, no, it's now. It's going to provide the most updated information available. I want to thank JKO Consulting for their management and patience working with all the town departments. It's been a long and arduous task, but we're just about there. The video surveillance system at Veterans Field, the system is now operational. Cameras are recording. The hardware was set up today at the police department for monitoring the surveillance cameras. So there's just a couple more connections that need to be done, but it is running and it is recording at this time. Global ProTech, who's the vendor that's doing the job, they sent, supposedly, we're going to email each council member and myself a link with an app which will allow all of us to download this app on our smartphones and be able to monitor the surveillance cameras at the Veterans Field. So some more sets of eyes looking at it there. The DPW roof, the work started earlier this week and is expected to be completed in 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the weather. The salt shed, the bids was awarded, and the contracts were signed. The engineer has had a pre-construction meeting this week with the contractor, and he'll elaborate more in his report. Drainage on Fifth Street, we're going out to bid for the next phase of the drainage upgrades, which involves cleaning out that culvert that runs behind the commercial properties on Fifth Street between Market and Route 46. Some other things, Township Recycling Coordinator project. DPW Secretary Joan Ramsey, who is going to become our recycling coordinator, is attending Rutgers University, this recycling coordinator training. And part of the course assignment is to implement a project. Joan has chosen this Dunk Your Kicks, which is a program organized by Max for Cure Foundation. What they do is they collect recycled sneakers that would normally end up in landfills and distribute them to less fortunate nations. The monies, though, the money that Max for Cure Foundation collects for the resale of the sneakers, what they do is they use that plus money that's donated from different Target and different corporations to buy food, clothing, and medicine for military and low-income families in the United States who have children that are suffering from cancer. So there's going to be boxes placed at the town hall, the library, the senior center, for like a drop box, so people can drop their slightly worn sneakers in those boxes. And the township's going to advertise on our website, Facebook, and our township TV station. Congratulations. Unfortunately, tonight, I couldn't make it because I had the council meeting, but we had 4 Special 1 officers that are graduating. Jessica Sanchez, Maggie Wapinski, Larry DeBello Jr., and David Chong are all going to be joining the ranks. Also, our police recruits, they graduate Friday, December 18th at the Bergen Academies. I don't know what the time is, but, so that's December 18th. So they'll be joining our ranks as well. I just want to also thank G&G Distributors of Saddlebrook for donating the beautiful wreath that you see in the hallway, the lobby, it should say, and also Council President Mazer and Emil Salento for all the poinsettias that you see here in the council chambers. And finally, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and a happy, healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Tom, anybody report?
Do you want me to go through the whole report, like, because I know usually we do this at the caucus meeting and then not at this meeting. I'm going to go through, I'm not sure what Rick did when he was here.
He went through it. He went
He
through
did?
it.
Oh, let me just touch on the high spots that the mayor hit. Yeah, the DPW roof has started. Again, they're saying a week or, they're saying approximately 2 weeks dependent on weather. The salt shed, we are moving along quickly on. It is the goal of the contractor to have the concrete blocks in place and the pad placed, before Christmas. There's about an 6 to 8 week lead time on the cover. So that's gonna, whenever they get done, that's gonna come in, but that's not, that's not really that weather dependent. It's not something that's gonna freeze. You know, they can do that in the cold if we wanted to go ahead and do that. If there's anything else you want me to elaborate on, I will.
Anyone have any questions?
Does that get ordered after the construction of the concrete, or is it
No,
ordered already?
no, there's shop touring going on right now, because they have to design it for the wind loads and the snow loads and all that, and that's going on at the same time. It's just a backlog at the factory to make the arches and cut the fabrics and, you know, just get all the pieces together. It's about 8 weeks.
Great. Any other questions for engineer? No? Okay, thank you, Tom. Council comments?
I'm good for now.
You're good?
Yeah, I'll wait.
Nothing?
I'll
No?
wait till the
Okay. We'll go on with the resolutions and.
Okay, we're going to talk about the whole story here, so we might as well go. Okay. I did not, nor would I ever call Mr. Ratajczak. I don't know his number. I would never call him and ask him for a favor. I would ask him for anything. So he may recall, he might have got a call from somebody, but not me. What had happened, yeah, you could smile, you could look, that's fine. That's the truth. What did happen, and the way this may have started, was at a planning board. I was the attorney for the zoning board for a number of years. The planning board attorney resigned. They asked me to fill in for him 1 or 2 meetings. They did not have a planning board attorney. I put my name in there to say I would serve as the planning board attorney. As far as I know, there was no other applicants other than me, and politics being what they were. Last minute, they put up somebody else, and I was not voted in. And that person was Richard Kapner, who was very, very capable and did a great job as a planning board attorney. Mr. Ratajczak, I believe, was on the planning board at that time and did not vote for me. Sometime after that, we had an altercation right down here when he went to shake my hand, and I did not shake his hand because I shake hands with people that I'm friends with. And he said, oh, another guy that doesn't shake my hand. And I said, well, you know what? You're taking food out of my family's mouth. You know, when it comes to money, you know, politics, I just didn't feel it was right. And I didn't want to shake his hand. He went at it, and then he said at that time that it had nothing to do with politics, because I questioned him on that. And he said, nothing to do with politics. It had to do with, he didn't feel that the same person should be the zoning board attorney and the planning board attorney. Okay, no problem. Sometime after that, I believe he switched to the zoning board. He got appointed to the zoning board. Now, in between, Mr. Ratajczak had an altercation with somebody, and he had a criminal complaint filed against him. I was a witness to that. And I did not testify against him. I was not subpoenaed to testify against him. If I had been, I would have testified in what I saw. But in any event, I was up for reappointment. And I told my wife before I came here, I said, it doesn't look good. And she said, well, Larry will vote for you. You know, Larry, you didn't say anything about what had happened. And, you know, you guys had made amends. I think I'd been to his house once or twice after that. So, you know, we had patched things up. And I went home that night, and she said, you got the job, right? And I said, no, I didn't get the job. She goes, Larry voted for you. And I said, no, not only did Larry not vote for me, Larry made the motion for the other guy. And not only did Larry make the motion for the other guy, Larry jumped out of his chair to make the motion for the other guy. So, if we want to go, since then, we have not been on friendly terms. So if you want to go back to how it really happened, that's how it happened. And it did happen for political reasons. Some people choose politics over friendship, and I understand that, and I accept that. Now, in terms of the plans, there will be a resolution for the architect, and I will not be voting for that. Not because I don't think you know, he's a bad architect. I don't know anything about him. But we do have these architectural plans, And I believe that it's in that it would save some money just to go back to the same architect who drew the plans and advise them that it's got to be scaled down. We all agree that when this number came in, and again, let's be fair, the number that was given to us, about $1 million, was, as I've always said, a guesstimate. And my position was, and always has been, that we should have gone out to bid and seen what the numbers came back at. But somebody said it would cost $1 million plus, which all of us agree was way too much money. But remember, when we first started this, it was a one-story building, and then we added on to it and said, well, how about we do the storage at the same time? So now we added a second level to it. So in fairness, we expanded upon it. The plans that are out there, yeah, it's pie in the sky, but you scale it down. It's just like when you do your home, and you say, I want this and that, and I want the Viking stove and everything, and then you come back and say, you know what, maybe a Maytag is better. And we all agreed, and we all talked about that the things that were in there were top of the line, top end, and a bunch of stuff that we didn't need. I think part of it was cappuccino machines. Again, they were all things that could be taken out. They were all, like line items that you can pull out. So if we saw a $1,000 cappuccino maker, it was like, what the hell? You got to be kidding me. Pull that out. So that wasn't going to be part of it. And that's why I believe that we should go with the same architect that we either paid or didn't pay. I don't know if we've paid him yet. But we do have a set of plans, and I believe that the person, why reinvent the wheel? We've got somebody who started from scratch. Now we've got another guy who's got to start from scratch. In terms of this $85,000, and we should have put it toward the garage, the biggest thing was the bathrooms. So to say that we shouldn't be doing this, but we should concentrate on the bathrooms, I think is a little disingenuous. We're trying to get it together. The snack stand and the restrooms are pretty much one project together, and what we are going to do is make sure that the restrooms are connected to the garage when we can, and I'm sure, I think we're all committed to retrofitting that garage and make it a wrestling room, an all-purpose room, something, so this way it can be used, that everything will be connected, so we don't have to do it later on. In terms of the senior housing, I am as disappointed as anybody. I was very upset to hear that we're going to be delayed. Again, I was not privy to a meeting, but I believe Mr. Bialy did have a meeting with possibly the mayor and the township administrator. I forget, that was talked about. But I'm very disappointed that we didn't, that is not there. I would have liked this thing to be up already, and yes, we are being pushed back, and I don't think anybody here is happy about that situation. However, I don't know if anyone did read about this, but what we said way back when we started this was that there was a potential for the state to try and take our COA funds. The state did, in fact, attempt to take Monroe Township's COA funds for about $10 million that they had set aside. And the state came in, swooped in, and tried to take that. They had to then litigate and fight, and I believe that they, I'm not sure if they lost or won at the law division, but it went up to the appellate division. And at the appellate division on some technicality said, no, you can't take it. Probably, I think the reason was because they didn't have enough rules in place, that they said they were going to have certain rules. They didn't have rules in place. So they didn't take it. Now, I don't know if that's going to go up to the Superior Court, because again, we're talking about $10 million. We had about $1.3 million, I think. But that was worrisome, and it still worries me that if that money is there, that the state can come in and take it. And I would say that if you're fighting all the way up to the Supreme Court, whatever tax revenue that you're not getting for that property for a small period of time will be greatly outweighed by whatever legal costs it would take. And one of the things that we have to consider is not doing anything with that property and possibly putting it up for sale. It could happen, but I think that would not be That might lead us into some legal problems, but also I think that we all want to give some senior housing. I think that we need it, and I think it would be beneficial to the township. And I know the next thing would be, we're not guaranteed that they're going to be all Saddlebrook people. And that's true, we can't guarantee that. But from everything that we've heard about and all the studies, a vast majority of the people that go into these senior housing facilities are people who live in that community. That being said, it is true. You can, mutter all you want in the back, but it is true. And I will save my greetings for later on at the end, but thank you.
No? Okay. Move on.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or members so request it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. Resolution number 7 will be voted on separately and is not part of the consent agenda.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
Second. Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur?
Yes.
And we have resolution number 7 is an award of professional services for an architect, OCA Architects, in the amount of $29,500 for work on Veterans Field concession restroom.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Samaluka?
For the reasons that I had stated before, I'm going to vote no on this.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilwoman DiArminio?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Mazur?
Yes. Business, new business, any business?
Yeah, for old business, and we talked about this at the work session, Mayor, you indicated that yourself and the administrator are looking into that more permanent signage at the field. I'm sorry, in the front of the municipal building. Because currently, we did get, through the efforts of the police department and the police chief, we did get a mobile sign unit. But again, I think we can and we should budget for a more permanent fixture on the lawn over here to advise citizens about what's going on in town.
I agree with you, and Business Administrator Ladico does have
Got
some
one
information,
quote,
got a
and
quote.
Try to get 2 more. Hopefully, if we get the 2 quotes, and hopefully if we could find some funds this year, by the end of the year when we have our second meeting, we might be able to bring it to the council, get the PO issued, and have it for next year.
And they are two-sided too. I never saw that, but Pete did find one that you could put 2 different signs on,
Just need 2 more
on each
quotes.
side.
And, it's something that we had discussed. Another thing that we had discussed was for anybody who showed up at the tree lighting, which was a great event, and it's one of the things that makes our town good and great. There's a lot of people, and the rumor has it, and I'm not privy to any of those negotiations, that Ed's Tavern across the street, which basically acts as a de facto parking lot for town hall events, is being sold, and we would assume that once it's sold, the person who's buying that will want to develop that, and we're not going to have access to that like we do now. And we had talked about it, and just so the public, whoever was there and says, geez, what happens when, there's a lot of people there that I recall being at Ed's with, and probably was saying the same thing. What's going to happen when this Ed's is not Ed's anymore? that we did talk about trying to gain other parking spaces by doing things possibly with the old police station, which is in disrepair and basically is useless right now. Another thing that we had talked about, and just in case anybody who's been to the new, or one of our new facilities that's opened up, we've had a couple of new businesses open up, Plank Brewery and also the Midland Brew House. There have been some issues with regard to lighting over there, or some people says, gee, it's kind of dark over there, and I'm a little scared about driving there. We have contacted, through the mayor, we've contacted PSE&G. PSE&G is doing a lighting survey to see if they can get a light or two, additional light or two on any of the poles there. There's one that's pretty much center, but there are a number of poles across the street and next door which do not have lights on it, and possibly we can do that. So for those people who are wondering about that, that's in the works. Again, lastly, I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Motion to open up meeting to the public
Motion.
on agenda items.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public on agenda items and agenda items only.
This will be to Mr. Simaluka. Again, you tell the story. The results of the criminal charges, what were they?
Larry,
Not
wait a minute,
guilty,
wait a minute, wait a
not
minute.
guilty, and
Hold on a minute.
I'll
Larry, we're
make a
talking
deal
about
with you. I know
agenda
you will.
items.
I know
That's
you will.
done.
This is on the
Going
agenda.
back and forth is finished.
On
Ms.
my
Mazur,
agenda.
It's finished.
Ms. Mazur, may I just have your indulgence for a minute? And I felt bad because I had given up the mic. The results were, there was a trial, you were found not guilty.
thank you. Also, I'll make a deal with you. I will never come to a meeting again or speak at this podium if you could pass a lie detector test that you never solicit my vote. Once at Carucci's and once on the telephone. And if the mayor would just set it up, and we're on. Set it up, let it go. And we'll see. And you give your seat up. You put something on the line. Give your seat
Okay,
up.
guys, all right. Anyone else wishing to be heard on agenda items? No. Motion closed?
Motion.
Second, all in favor?
Second.
Okay. All righty. Council comments? Closing.
I'm sorry, in regards to the lighting on Midland, whose responsibility is it for the sidewalks? This is like a third of a mile on that street, there's no sidewalks. On Midland.
What's the location?
On Midland, it's about a third of a mile between, from the church, no, not the church, cemetery to past UPS. Whose responsibility is it to put sidewalks for pedestrian safety?
See, the problem with that is I don't know,
If it's a business owner?
well, that should have been done when those buildings were, when any construction was done. Tom, go ahead.
Well, it would be a planning board matter. If a site plan comes in, if it's a local road, if it's a county road, the county has jurisdiction. Although we may be able to make a recommendation for the county, but it would be the planning board's decision to have a developer construct a sidewalk when it's in for site plan, or the town can just go do it. It's in there, we own the right-of-way, and we can just do it on our own.
I'm just considering if you're gonna put the lighting for pedestrian safety, it's just common sense to put a sidewalk into them. There's no sidewalk, you got these people walking through the bus in the street, and we're still
Well,
dodging
there-
potholes in that street.
There is a funding program called Safe Routes to Transit. If you have a bus stop in there and public parking that you have to go between one from the other, you might want to talk to your grant writer about that.
Thank you.
Todd, where is that? Which,
From the
Park.
cemetery
okay,
to, actually past the UPS too, that Evergreen, wherever, that building there, at the other side of Metropolitan. Thank you.
Metropolitan, yeah.
oh, cemetery going south on Midland Avenue?
Yeah, it's about a third of a mile. I've
Okay,
clocked with my truck.
Okay.
So that's a long stretch with no sidewalk.
through Bennigan's and,
Yeah.
okay.
Is that everything? I'd just like to thank everyone for showing up on for the holiday party. everyone who volunteered. I can't name everybody because there's just way too many. It was great to see so many people involved. I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and God bless.
I'd like to second that, also what the mayor said. I don't know if you mentioned the fire department, but thank you to the fire department. You mentioned everybody else. I also wanted to mention Dollar Zone in Saddlebrook, who donated $200 worth of merchandise for that event. And I'd like to thank the mayor and council for, in the beginning of the year, jumping aboard and giving me the opportunity to run with this. And last, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Healthy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe?
I would just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holiday, and let's all have a happy and healthy New Year. Thank you.
You good? Sure? Okay. I too. But I also would like to commend Community Projects for the outstanding year. Did an outstanding year with everything, with all the projects. So proud to have, it back up and running. And also a belated happy birthday to our township attorney. Happy birthday, Anthony. And I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy, prosperous New Year. Having said that, motion, close,
Motion.
second. All in favor? Good night, everyone.